Folks, welcome back. This Primal Clash scenario really needs to be a case study, not just in Pokemon, and not just even in collectibles, but in the financial investing markets in general. To see a product come out where it was never a high-flying, super sought-after product, and have very meager sales, did start to trend up a small amount, nowhere near what some of the other top sets in the era did, and then go through one of the latest and largest reprints in the XY era, knocking it all the way down to the low 70s a booster box. This is the lowest we've seen any booster boxes in any of the four modern eras: XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. We did not see Scarlet Violet base sit in the low 70s. We did not see Chilling Reign, Battle Styles, and Fusion Strike sit in the low 70s after their reprints. I'm sure you could have found them on some site or with some deal or coupon or percentage off, but Primal Clash and Roaring Skies sat in the low 70s market price for an extended period of time. It actually turned a lot of people off to investing in Pokemon sealed product. Some people walked away from the hobby. Some people just dumped everything and said, this is, not realistic. After this happened, people kind of second-guessed Pokemon's, reprints and how much they're going to print of this stuff and if any of it will have any long-term value because of it. And it was sort of a dark time in the hobby when this happened. And then, time did its thing. It started to march forward, and although the boxes sat there for a good amount of time, they started to trend up little by little as some would sell and some people would start to rise the prices, and they eventually did get back to that $100 mark. And it wasn't until a few years ago where they really went through an intense growth cycle up into the multiple hundreds. And then obviously this year we've really seen things pick up where Primal Clash is now selling for around $700 a box. Now, I made a video not too long ago saying that I could see in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, some of these XY and Sun and Moon boxes becoming so scarce that you would not be able to find them on the market. But when I said that, I had in mind sets like Team Up, Flashfire, Phantom Forces, some of your, largest high-flying sets with all the main hits that are most sought after, that are already high dollar price, that maybe didn't have reprints or large reprints. Those were the sets that I felt would be impossible to find on the market. To my surprise, when I logged on TCG Player today, which is Thursday, there are 0 listings for Primal Clash. 0. The last one sold for about $700, and after that, nobody else wanted to even list their box. Now, depending on when you see this video, there may or may not be some listed at this point, but the fact of the matter is, we are now in 2024. Only 9 years after the set was released, and you already can't find one on the open market on TCG Player. This set went through a relatively normal release, didn't get pumped up, it wasn't like a high-flying set, and it got a massive reprint, a late reprint, which crushed it, and it still wasn't a sought-after set. I still don't think it's one of the most sought-after sets, and doesn't have any of the most sought-after cards in the era, but we've seen it climb back to $700 and now go completely unavailable if you want to buy it from TCG Player Market. The reason this needs to be studied is the product never changed. The product has been the same day one, after the reprint, before the reprint, and now. All that's changed is public sentiment. All that has changed is how people perceive it to be valued. Why does that happen? Why did Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike and Battle Styles go down to $80 and now, Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign at least are now worth $220, $230 a booster box in just a matter of a couple of years? It's all the perception of how much is out there, how much is actually available on the market, and how much people actually are willing to pay for that product. And when enough people are willing to pay a certain amount for a product, and there's only a certain amount available, the price rises based on regular supply and demand principles. And so the question becomes, how many sets are going to go through this type of scenario? And how many of the sets that we're told are so widely available and they're so plentiful, they'll never be this scarce? Will there come a time when Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike, in the next 4 or 5 years, when they reach the same age as Primal Clash, will there become a time when those are not available on the market? Could we be coming up to a time soon when Evolving Skies will not be available on the market? Are other sets going to follow? Are the Team Ups, the Flash Fires, the Phantom Forces, the Cosmic Eclipses, and all of these type of sets going to get to a point where literally nobody wants to sell them because the price point they feel they're at are not worth as much as they value them at? Because that's really what it comes down to, guys. When it gets down to the secondary market and sets get 3, 4, 5+ years old and there's no more coming from Pokemon or distributors, it's all based on all the secondary resellers. And if the secondary market doesn't feel their item is valued properly, they just won't sell it. And it takes the right customer to come along and enough of the right customers to come along and say, no, I agree with you. I believe it is valued that high. I will pay that. And then once that starts happening, then people will, feel more comfortable listing their boxes again and say, okay, I believe if you're willing to pay $3,500 for Flashfire, that's what I think it's worth too. I'll list it. I think my Team Up box is worth $3,000. If you're willing to pay that, okay, I'll list it. And then more start to sell at that price point. Well, then people start to see that and they say, well, maybe I can get this much and this much. And, obviously the market goes through, ups and downs. But the larger the scarcity becomes in these sets, the less downturns we're going to see. We could see times of stagnation where just no one wants to sell and no boxes are sold and no one wants to list their boxes. But we're going to see much less times of dips because most all the people holding the items at that point are either one, unwilling to sell or only willing to sell if the price makes sense to them. And all the product at these times has already made it up to the whale's hands, right? Because we talked about this. Every step of the way, there's new group of sellers, right? There's people selling Chilling Reign right now at $220, $230 because they bought it $80, right? And there'll be people selling Chilling Reign at $400 and $500 and $700, and if it hits $1,000, and eventually all the product either gets opened, disappears in the permanent collections, or works its way up to the whale's hands, and the whales do not sell. They don't care about how much they can realize in their gains. They don't care about the profits. They make enough money and they're worth enough money where they don't have to go through the things you go through in your mind trying to think, well, is it worth it to sell? Is it worth it not to sell? I can use the money for this. I need the money. They don't have to go through that, right? They make enough income. They have enough net worth. They don't have to worry about the whims of the market. All they need to worry about is acquiring more and increasing the scarcity to increase the price, and then maybe down the road they sell it. Maybe they just pass it down to their kids and grandkids, and it never hits the market, and their net worth just grows based on their unrealized gains. But the fact of the matter is, Primal Clash is a box that if you go back 8 or 9 years, nobody would have predicted this. I don't care who they are in the hobby. If they told you they predicted this, they're a liar. No one would have predicted this with Primal Clash. After the late reprint, no one in their right minds would have been able to tell you that there would have come a day when there wasn't a Primal Clash box on the market, much less being worth $700, okay? If you bought down the reprint when it hit 70 at its low, you 10x your money in the course of like 5 or 6 years or so, something like that, 5 years, 6 years, depending on exactly when that reprint came. And it's just a crazy thing to think about. These are the things that no one thinks about long term. Everyone's worried about the daily news cycle of this went up 10%, this went down 10%, we had a reprint, we had a restock, there's so much out there. I saw a warehouse full of those boxes, someone posted a picture on Instagram, whatever it may be. But you don't think about what the landscape's gonna look like in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. And I know when people post pictures of large amounts of supply and you see like pallets full of this stuff, it looks like a lot. Guys, it's not that much, all right? A pallet, right? Let's just say a pallet has 100 cases. That's only 600 boxes, all right? If you go look at how many boxes of a specific set have sold in the last week, month, or year, it's probably a whole lot more than 600 boxes. Meaning, pallets of this stuff are getting wiped out daily. If not going to all the rip and shippers, if not going to all the mystery pack makers and looking how many packs they throw in all those packs and how many packs get ripped every single night, it makes those warehouses disappear in a blink of an eye. And before you know it, all of a sudden the boxes are $200, $300, $400, $500, and everyone's looking around like, what happened? How did this happen? Why are people inflating the market? Why don't you just list all your items? I don't have any left. I already sold them. What do you mean you sold them? You had 10, 20, 50 cases. I sold them. I sold some at 2, some at 300, some at 500, some at 600, and now I'm out. And then people say, well, where did it all go? I don't know. I sold it to this guy, and he ripped it on a stream. He broke it down for mystery packs. This guy's a whale. He probably threw it in his warehouse, whatever. And it's just gone. It's permanently removed from the market. And that happens again and again and again, every price point, every year. And eventually, you wind up with Primal Clash. $700 box. None listed on the market. Maybe the next one comes to market at $800, $900. If you look at what Roaring Skies is listed at, I think the lowest one listed now is $900. I think Furious Fist is up to $1,500. I mean, it's just getting wacky because people are saying, hey, I don't want to sell this, but if someone's willing to pay me X amount, okay. And guess what? Some crazy person out there comes around and says, well, I really want the box. There's only one in the market. It's this much. I'll pay it. And then that becomes a new price point. And then people say, well, that's the market. That's what I'm going to list mine at. And then some other crazy person comes and pays it. And then we have an established new price. Guys, this is a wild ride. I'm going to say the same thing all of us say every time the market does this. I just wish I would have bought more of it. That's all I got, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. Be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.